Hi guys, my name is Tatiana and I wanted to share to you all today on March 27th, 2026, and I believe it's noon, the story of how I went cage diving with sharks and how not only that, but after cage diving with sharks, I had my baptism. And it's completely an epic story. So I hope that this story inspires you guys to go and explore into your calling, explore into your purpose, explore into all the things that God has for you, and tap into all the things that God has prepared for you, that God has in store for you. Because once you tap into that, it's gonna be an overflow. So you see my jacket over here, it kind of looks like the water, right? it looks like a fountain, and it's gonna your life is going to turn into an overflow and a fountain of endless opportunities. And I'm excited for you. So I pray that you guys receive this testimony and receive this story in a way that enlightens your soul and enlightens your overall being into your becoming, into your infinite glory with Christ. And yeah, so back in May of last year, so May of 2025, I was working as an ICU nurse in the Philadelphia area, and I had in my plans to go to South Africa. So while I was working as a travel ICU nurse, I was also traveling abroad to different countries and also exploring, because I had that light in me, that passion in me of there's something that I haven't tapped into yet, and traveling was essentially the main way of me tapping into whatever I haven't discovered yet for myself, right? And so it was like a void that was missing. Okay, so I had this feeling in me, and this void, you can say. And so I was, on night shift. I was doing my due diligence of being a nurse, and working in the ICU too is another, it was another enlightening factor in my life, because I was there amongst people who have passed away, and and being there and seeing people pass away makes you have this internal enlightening question for yourself. And my question was, if I were to pass away tomorrow, not saying that I am by any means, but also life isn't promised, right? So if I, what is something that I personally would love to do? And a little backstory is when I was 12 years old, I dreamt about becoming a marine biologist. Simply because I was in love with the ocean and ocean animals. Ocean animals are very interesting because their mechanics are different than animals on land, than mammals. So, and insects and all that. Their mechanics are different. And so, they have to learn how to adapt underwater, use their fins, use their gills, use the oxygen from the water, and basically either become anaerobic or anyway. So that's very interesting to me. And so interesting that I wanted to study it. And so, obviously that didn't happen. We know that I now became a nurse. And that was an amazing calling that I was able to fulfill as well. And I thank God for all that I've done as a nurse. And so, yeah, so I had all these questions that I was, looking, searching, and they were questions that I believe that God stirred up in my soul because there was something that I yet didn't tap into. But thank God through His grace and through His patience, and that I was able to eventually tap into that, which is why I'm creating this story. Okay, so I'm on night shift and I'm like, okay, I'm caught up with everything and I'm just sitting there monitoring my patients. My patients are stable and I'm like, okay. So I begin looking up cage diving places, and I'm scrolling through cage diving places and I find one that provides you tanks. So how it worked was they had the oxygen tanks on the boat, and they had the oxygen tanks connected to snorkels, or so mouthpieces. So you could essentially breathe underwater through the mouth oxygen that they gave you. And so I figured that's the best one for me because I already know it. When I'm underwater, I'm not gonna want to come up for air. Like, that's crazy. So for me, at least, if you did the snorkeling one, I'm sure that you found enjoyment in that. So so before I go to that part, so I'm over here, so I booked that one, right? I booked that one. Everything's booked for when I get to South Africa. I'm like, okay, this is perfect. All the bookings done. And so the day comes when I'm in South Africa. So the whole journey while being in South Africa, I'm gonna not share that just yet. I'll share just the cage diving portion of it because it can get lengthy. So I get to the cage diving part, and it's actually very funny. So if you guys are familiar with the South Africa area, I booked the cage diving was in Simonstown, And so I booked my Airbnb in Fishhook. So that way it would be about like a 10-minute drive from Fishhook to Simonstown. And the cage diving was, what I thought is that the cage diving would be on a Thursday. So I booked the Airbnb from Wednesday to Friday because it made sense that way, right? Thursday comes, I'm in this Airbnb. The Airbnb is actually quite beautiful, and the Airbnb is right on the ocean, so it's at the top of the hill, and you can see and view the beautiful, beautiful ocean from this place. And the shark diving was early in the morning, so it was around, I want to say I woke up around 5 a.m. So I drive to Simonstown, and I get to the meetup spot, and I don't know what happened, but there was miscommunication, and essentially we weren't set to go diving that day. So I was, a bit disappointed because I thought I was going to go swimming with sharks that day. And also my stay was pretty close by. So the diving was scheduled for Saturday instead of Thursday. That meant that Saturday I was staying in a completely different side of South Africa. That's fine. So I said, okay, well, not much I can do, but let me just come back on Saturday. So I go to this other part of South Africa, and it's in this city town called Milnerton, and I stay at this very cute, very beautiful apartment on Lagoon Beach, and I'm there. I get settled in on Friday, and on Saturday that morning I woke up early and I drove about an hour back to Simonstown. So while I'm back in Simonstown is when we finally set sail to go cage diving. And the boat ride to Seal Island, which is where we went swimming, was very beautiful, very, very much just refreshing, honestly. And so we get to the diving spot, and one of the workers, he's just chopping up this chum, and so the chum is what they use to lure in the sharks. And so I thought I was gonna see great white sharks, but I saw copperhead sharks instead, and the copperhead sharks were about 12 to 15, 18 feet long, and it was honestly so epic. At one point there was about like 20 sharks in the perimeter, and that was a dive of a lifetime. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, that was so cool. And it honestly, like, okay. So as I'm under the water, there's just like chum all around, and I end up going into this kind of like fetal position. So I'm under the water, and there's this plank where you can keep your feet like tucked under, so that way you don't float back up, because you know we just naturally float. So I was naturally like floating up. So when you keep your feet leveraged under the plank, you're able to get grounded. So I'm in this grounded position, and I just have like my phone out, and I'm just like, swaying, going with the flow of the ocean, and I'm just recording all the sharks. And it was honestly such an epic time, just seeing them up close, which is something that I waited years to do, and being able to be in that proximity. And we weren't allowed to touch them, but just be in that proximity of all those like amazing sharks was honestly a dream come true for me. It was a dream come true for me. And so I was very grateful for the people who coordinated that experience and who conducted everything. And it was truly a life-changing moment, you can say. And so as we get out of the water and we get back on the boat, and our experience is over, my adrenaline is still up. I'm still very much pumped and having the time of my life. And so I drive an hour back to the Airbnb. I'm leaving Simonstown, and I'm in my little sedan, and I'm just driving, and I make it back to the Airbnb in Villeneuve, and I'm still having this adrenaline, I'm still having this fun. And so I go back into the backyard of the Airbnb was where the beach was, where Lagoon Beach is. And so I get my towel, I get my speaker, and I just go over to the beach, and I'm soaking in the sun, and I actually have a poem that I want to share that I wrote this morning, and but I'll get to that. So I'm soaking in the sun, I have my speaker out, I'm listening to I'm listening to Brazilian funk music, and I'm just like, I'm having the time of my life, honestly. And so I'm over there, and so I'm having the time of my life, I'm listening to the music, and I see this most beautifulest couple ever, and I acknowledge it in my head. I'm like, wow, they're such a beautiful couple. And so I'm listening to Brazilian funk, and I'm like, oh, they're a beautiful couple with, I'm assuming their dog, because they're walking a black dog. And I'm like, okay, they're with their dog, walking him on the beach. And so I'm minding my business, and all of a sudden the couple approaches me, and the couple just so happens to be pastors as well. And the couple, they approached me, and so I'm talking with the couple, and their names are Pastor Sean and Pastor Abby, and they're speaking with me about what God had spoke to them. So it's essentially they're being used as a vessel to transfer the word of God to me. And so it's a very much divine connection. And I really felt the love of God at that moment. And so during this time last year, I wasn't baptized yet, but I grew up Christian, and I knew I wanted to eventually get baptized. And so that it just came out of me. It just poured out of me. I just said, hey, I'm ready to get baptized. Can you please baptize me? And so we're having this communication. And so Pastor Abby ends up baptizing me. And so we go into Lagoon Beach, and Pastor Abby, she's such a beautiful woman of God, she baptizes me. And it was honestly, in the baptize, I'll play the video, and as you can see, it's it's a minimal but yet effective baptism. And the baptism happens in water, but it's where the position of your heart is in that moment. So my position, as I expressed to you guys, I was ready to get baptized. And I believe that this is what my soul felt that it was missing, was this obedience to God, this active obedience to the Lord, showing him, hey, I love you, and you see me, and I acknowledge you, and I'm surrendering my everything to you because I love you. And it's an act of love to the Lord that essentially brings out and flourishes goodness in our lives through our spirits, by our souls. And so after the baptism, I was just left in complete awe. I was like, wow. There was many times where I questioned God, and I questioned his love, and I questioned his entity. And so this was just a symbolic moment of, when we question him, he never left us. He's always been there with us. He's always there guiding us and protecting us, and he'll never leave you, no matter if you're north, left, south, wherever. He's there right with you. Like, he created you. How could he leave you if he's your creator? And so this was very much so an awakening moment for me. And I wrote down some verses too that I wanted to share, and it's in John 15:5. It says that God is the vine and we're the branches. So we're basically intertwined in him, and he's intertwined in us. And that's just the beauty of who he is. And and going to the poem that I wrote this morning that I wanted to share. So I said that it was March 27th, 2026, and I wrote it at 9:35. 2 birds, 1 branch, sitting and remaining, while there appeared to be no sunset. The strong winds from the tree shook them off. Yet they didn't fall, but rather flew off. They soared onto a higher pinnacle, where they could see, feel, hear the sun. At last, they said, "What miraculous views of this apparent sunset." And in addition, and I'll let you guys interpret the poem however the interpretation leads you to. And then 2 nights ago, I made this beautiful, I painted this beautiful jacket, and at the back of it, this is the front, and the back is a beautiful sunset. So I want to just leave the video off with that, and you'll see your sunset. You'll see and experience and feel and hear and enjoy the goodness of the sunset by God's love, because He so loved His Son that He sent His Son to get crucified on the cross for us, because He so loves us. And I think and I know that God loves you all too. And I pray that you guys experience His never-ending, endless love. And yeah.